Okay, so now we notice that again, whenever Yah speaks, whatever He wills, I mean, it comes to pass.
Right.
Now, the thing about Genesis that we're looking at, just summarizing this chapter, is that we notice, want to pay attention to things that are said more than once.
Right.
Because the things that are said more than once, Yah is trying to get our attention, okay? And one of the things we know He says more than once is the evening and the morning, right? We see when He created in day one, the verse 5, evening and morning was the first day. Again, verse 8, and evening and the morning was the second day. Verse 13, evening and the morning was the third day. Verse 19, evening and the morning was the fourth day. Verse 23, the evening and the morning was the fifth day. Verse 31, evening and the morning was the sixth day. And so we notice again that the order happens to be evening and morning. Again, the Father establishing His time, letting us know that the days begin at sunset. Just like it says again in Genesis chapter 1 verse 14, where the Creator said, Elohim said, let there be light in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, seasons, and days and years. See, Yah again is establishing His appointed times, moeds. He let us know that the sun and the moon is in the heavens for signs. And
right.
so again, we talked before, what is the sun, how the sun is signed to His people? Well, again, when the sun sets during the daytime, right, when it sets rather,
right.
in the evening, that is the beginning of the new day.
Right.
And the moon begins the sign to the believer whenever the moon is a crescent moon. You know, you see the light of the moon first appear in the sky.
Beginning of month.
It's the beginning of month. That's why the sun and the moon is in the heavens. And He made the stars also, you know, to govern and to, you know, to establish His plan,
right.
to tell the story. Remember when Yahushua was when the wise men came to visit, came to see Herod, right?
Right.
The wise men from the east, right?
Yeah, they seen His star.
Yeah, they seen His star. The star. We come to worship Him. Yah had put signs in the heavens of when he would actually come to the earth and become a man. All right.
He did the same thing with Abraham also.
Yes, He did.
He
right?
showed him the stars. And
He showed him the stars.
Abraham being from Babylon, where you know that was the study of the stars was nothing new.
Right.
That's what he used to teach Abraham. Also, Nicodemus.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he was teaching Nicodemus, and you know, he talked about the wind.
Yeah.
And he's using different things, elements of the creation to teach man.
Right.
His plan.
His plan. So again, we see this here. Yah is establishing the day begins at sunset.
Right.
That's why we see again the evening and the morning is said 6 times. Okay.
Right.
Another thing that we notice in Genesis, okay, that we see Yah speak several times. It has to do with things being created.
Right.
Okay, after its own kind. All right. Look at verse. I want to look at what is that? Verse 11. Okay. It says, somebody want to read that? What does it say?
And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, the plant that yields seeds, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth, and it came to be so.
Yeah. And then verse 12.
And the earth brought forth grass, the plant that yields seeds according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. Mm-hmm. And Elohim saw that it was good.
He saw that it was good. Now let's jump down to verse 20 here. What does it say?
And Elohim said, let the waters teem with shoals of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth on the face of the expanse of the heavens. And Elohim created great sea creatures, and every living creature that moved with the water, which the waters teemed, according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good.
Elohim saw it was good. Okay, and then look at verse 24. What does it say?
And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth the living creature according to its kind, livestock and creeping creatures, and beasts of the earth according to its kind. It came to be so.
In verse 25.
And Elohim made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, livestock according to its kind, and all that creep on the earth according to its kind. And Elohim saw it was good.
So, you know, what is Yah establishing here? He's establishing again a seed, that every seed will bring forth fruit of his own kind. In other words, it will reproduce itself.
Right.
So here we see that again, Yah is faithful.
Right.
We can trust Yah. All right. You know, if you plant an apple tree, what are you going to get?
Apple.
You plant an orange tree, what are you going to get?
Oranges.
Okay, you know, again, if a giraffe is going to give birth, it's going to give birth to a what?
Giraffe.
And a donkey is going to give birth to?
A donkey.
Right. And so, see, a lot of people are confused when they go, they go to school, of course, and we're taught this theory of evolution. Evolution saying that things, it starts off as one thing and ends up as something else.
One thing making different kinds.
Yeah, that's impossible. Everything brings forth fruit of its own kind. This is very, very important when we get further in Genesis chapter 6. I think this really fits in. This helps me to understand Genesis chapter 6 a lot better. But anyway, again, Yah's establishing everything after its own kind.
Right.
Okay, every tree will bring forth fruit of its own kind. In fact, Amasai even taught that. Said, when he talked about people, you should know them by their what?
Fruit.
By their fruit. Okay, everyone will bring forth fruit after its own kind. If you're righteous, you're going to bring forth righteous fruit. If you're unrighteous, you'll bring forth unrighteous fruit. Okay?
And what does that mean? I mean, that may be a little, I think it's straightforward, but some people that may seem abstract. What does that mean?
Well, really what it just simply means is that...
I'm sorry, what sets apart a righteous man and a wicked man?
That's a very, very good question. And it is what he does with Yahweh's instructions, what he does with Yah's word.
Right.
A righteous man, see, there's no righteous, we have no righteousness in and of ourselves, right?
Right.
The scripture teaches there is none righteous, no, not one, okay? So righteousness is established by Yahweh himself.
Right.
Yahweh says what is right and what is wrong,
right?
Okay? He sets the standard. And a righteous man will be one who takes Yah at his word, okay? And if Yah says that stealing is wrong, then one will not steal.
Right.
Okay? If Yahweh says that let every man have his own wife, okay? And you go out and you take another man's wife, the scripture calls that adultery, right? That means that you are unrighteous, meaning not righteous. You have not submitted yourself to the testimony and the will of Yahweh.
Right.
So that's what makes us righteous or unrighteous, okay? We can't establish our own righteousness. And by the way, that's what religions do, isn't it?
Yep.
Religions establish their own righteousness.
Yep.
A religion says, okay, this is how you're going to serve, God, they say, okay? Come to this building on these particular days, say your prayers like this, okay? Eat this kind of food, or, eat that kind of food, and, wear these kind of clothes.
Rock this way this many times.
Right? So they're setting their own righteousness. Now, of course, righteousness is established in the scriptures. There is a certain food to eat.
Yeah,
okay?
Right.
But Yah just declares what foods that we should eat. And when we eat those kind of foods, then we are acting in a righteous way. That we're eating food that Yahweh has deemed as food.
Right.
All right? So that's what the difference between righteous and unrighteousness is. Okay? Now, if a man says he loves Yah and don't keep his commandments, what is it?
He's a liar. The truth ain't in him.
Which makes him an unrighteous person. Right? And so that's what I mean when we talk about righteousness. Okay? So again, we see that Yah creates everything after his own kind. Now, if you notice in day 6, something amazing happens. Yah says in verse 26, let us make man in our image. Which what he's saying then is that everything else he made prior to that, and all the other creatures, was not made in Yah's image.
Right. Okay?
But when it came to man, he said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon